I'm Tony Keith, the Christmas light guy. In this tutorial, I'll show you a new prop idea that I came up with, which I call a pear tree. So, what is a pear tree? It's a tree in the shape of a pear. The middle, or what I refer to as the belly, of the tree is expanded, giving it the shape of a pear. I was going to call it potbelly tree or dad bod tree, but I didn't think it was appropriate, so I'll stick with the pear tree. Here's what the pear tree looks like. I came up with the idea actually by mistake. I had bought 3 sets of Boscoyo ChromaPoles from a local guy who was selling some X-Connect extensions. When I met him to buy the extensions, he offered the ChromaPoles and basically gave them to me. If you're not familiar with ChromaPoles, here's what one looks like. It allows you to mount up to 6 megatree strips in a 180-degree configuration on 3/4 inch EMT pipe. The megatree strips can be any length from a few inches to maybe 10 feet long. I didn't use the ChromaPoles the first season as I wasn't for sure how to incorporate them into my display. Recently I decided to go ahead and build them, and then I would figure out how to incorporate them. After I decided on the length of the megatree strips at 50 pixels each, and I had pushed all the pixels, I started assembling the prop. I used cable ties to attach the strips to the top and bottom ChromaPole. I put the ChromaPole onto the EMT pipe. I tightened the top ChromaPole, and then I flipped it over and pulled the bottom ChromaPole until the mega strips were tight. I began to tighten the ChromaPole on the bottom, and I over-tightened it, and it broke. However, when it broke, the megatree strips collapsed and bowed out in the middle. This is how I got the idea for the pear tree. Next, let's review the parts list to build one pear tree. You'll need 2 Boscoyo ChromaPoles, 3/4 inch EMT pipe, I used lengths of 5 feet long, 6 megatree strips, a length of 54 pixels. That's 50 pixels with 2 pixels holes on each end to attach the cable ties to the ChromaPoles. 300 pixels, maker pipe 180 degree 3/4 inch EMT connector, 1/2 inch schedule 40 PVC pipe, 2 pipes cut 12 inches in length, 3/16 fiberglass rod 42 inches long. This is for the belly. You may be able to use a coat hanger or flexible tubing instead. I used the fiberglass rod left over from my fireworks star. Cable ties, and optionally a Home Depot jumbo LED round bulb or a Coro star for the topper. Next, let's look at how I modeled the tree in xLights. I've opened up xLights and I'm on the Layout tab. In order to save time, I've skipped the controller setup since this isn't the focus of the tutorial, and it is a very standard setup. I have modeled 2 pear trees and 2 Home Depot jumbo round LED bulbs. For the pear trees, remember when I built the pear trees I used 6 mega tree strips with 50 pixels each for a total of 300 pixels. In xLights I started with a built-in tree model. I selected the type of flat, the strand direction vertical, the number of strings 1, the number of nodes per string 300, the number of strands per string 6, and then the starting location of bottom right. For the topper, the Home Depot jumbo round LED bulb, it's a single pixel, 1 string, 1 nodes per string, and 1 lights per node. So to get the bulb to be larger, if you go to the appearance menu and expand it and select the pixel size, I've increased it to 75. Now moving over to the sequencer tab, I've created a 30-second demo sequence with 6 effects, 5 seconds each. Let's take a look at what each effect looks like. The first one I call laser. Next one I call bouncing balls. Next is fountain. Next is blue-green fill. Next one is twinkle. And last but not least is what I call rocket. Now let's take a look at what this sequence looks like running on the actual props at night. Okay, here is the laser effect. Next is the bouncing waves. Next is the fountain. Next is the blue-green fill. And then twinkle. And finally, rocket. I'm very pleased with how this prop turned out. I was able to take a prop that I wasn't really excited about and modify it slightly to come up with a completely different prop. I built two pear trees and incorporated them into my display. I have two live trees in my front yard, and I will mount one pear tree in front of each. This fits perfectly into my display. One thing that I am considering is changing the Home Depot Jumbo LED bulb as the topper to a 15-inch 40-pixel chroma star, since there really isn't many effects that you can apply to a single bulb except for on-off, fade, or crossfade. I think changing out the topper to a star will enhance this prop even more. I also think this prop could be easily modified as a Santa or a Halloween pumpkin with a little ingenuity. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and learned something new from it. If you did and would like to see more tutorials like this, please like this tutorial and subscribe to my channel, The Christmas Light Guy. Remember, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. All you have to do is press the subscribe button below.